Okay, guys. Okay, guys. It's your friendly neighborhood streamer, Mike from PA. How is everybody doing this morning? All I can say is, one of the things that I do think is funny is the elephant in the room of Kat Abou-Ghazaleh. Listen, I'm sorry I have to talk about this so much. I really am. Okay. But she's fucking garbage, man. I'm sorry. Like, what, do you expect me to ignore that? What do you want me to do? She's fucking garbage. Kat doesn't want Medicare. Oh, by the way, chat, Kat changed her website and is now saying she changed her website. They watch me like a fucking hawk, dude. Holy shit, that's so funny. I thought you guys weren't on Twitter. What happened? Why is Hassan yelling at us about it? Because he wants a W. And here's the reality. If she wasn't so bad on policy, I would let her go. Like, I would let her go. But her policies are fucking bad. Weird for Orthodox to apply the DSA candidate as a spoiler. I mean, Daniel Biss and her are the same fucking person. There is not a significant difference between Daniel Biss and her. There really isn't. So I don't know why people are getting so worked up over this race. Like, who gives a shit? She is a fucking insane person. And there's something off about her. You know, like, she's not an authentic left-wing candidate. I don't know what to tell you. Also, and this is a pet peeve of mine, claiming you're a DSA candidate when you're not DSA candidate is fucking wrecker shit. Also, I've been a DSA candidate my adult life. What the fuck does that mean? Okay, let's listen to Kat's. She gets asked these questions.
Kat, I've got to ask you a similar type question. You've come under criticism, as you know, last week. A lot of people were very upset when DropSite reported that a national security advisor on your team had described you.
If we are disqualifying someone based on one Taiwan take, we lost the plot. She's better than anyone else in the race. No, she's not. That's point blank not true. Let's be completely honest with it. Let's be completely honest here. She's popular on social media. She interacts with people in our space. I'm going against the grain because I'm principled on the issues. If you expect me to go with everyone else and ignore the principles, then you just don't know who I am, okay? I'm never going to do that, ever. You want me to support you, be good on the issues, and then I'll be your biggest fan. Who's better? Bushra is better, and Biss is the same person anyway. Biss and her are the same candidate. They're basically the same exact person, and then Bushra is better than her. So, I mean, honestly, who gives a shit? The APAC candidate is in a distant third. Like, they're not going to win. So who gives a fuck? It is what it is.
In an email as, quote, firmly an interventionist, saying that the world is better off when America takes a leading role in it, that you support dropping strategic ambiguity when it comes to defending Taiwan, and that you won't, quote, won't stop until Russia is made to pay for its crimes. I know that person is no longer on your team, but were they not reflecting your views at all? I've seen a lot of people who said, oh, we really liked her. I'm just seeing people on Twitter and social media. We didn't know that she's this hawkish interventionist. What do you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, the characterization I completely disagree with as far as it comes to
okay, so this is the game that Kat Abou-Ghazaleh plays, right? She says I'm not an interventionist, and then she proceeds to explain why she is an interventionist. And I'm sorry, guys, I can't let this slide. I can't allow you to become miseducated and smuggle what are terrible warmongering policies under the realm of it being peace and other things. I'm not going to let that happen, man. You're being hyperbolic about a candidate. What evidence is there that we can work with her? What's happening is, and this, you know, Hassan and I disagree on this race. It's point blank that simple. And we are continuing to be friends. We talked last night, and we didn't even talk about this race. When we talk about this race, we're like, Jesus Christ, her Taiwan policy is terrible. Hopefully, she doesn't pursue it. That's the way that he looks at it. I don't believe her. I don't trust her. So, like, who gives a shit? We're allowed to disagree on this. You know, it is what it is. You need to decide who you think is making a better argument. Hassan's argument is she's 26. Hopefully she'll change. My position is she is quadrupling down for no reason. There's not some big, like, expat Taiwanese population that demands extreme, belligerence toward China in her district or something. She's not making a calculation based on politics. This is her strongly held belief that we should go to war with China. I'm sorry, that's disqualifyingly insane.
The issues of Ukraine and Taiwan, I am against imperialism and wars of aggression everywhere. And that means if it's coming from the US, if it's coming from Israel, if it's coming from Russia, if it's coming from China.
Okay, point blank, again, I'm not in favor of China invading Taiwan. I think that would be a huge strategic blunder on their part. I think it would be an unnecessary war. I think it would be terrible, but it would not be imperialism. It would not be imperialism. Imperialism was when the United States of America interfered in the Chinese Civil War by spending billions of dollars on fascist Chiang Kai-shek and sending the U.S. Navy to superintend the Taiwanese Strait and prevent the Civil War from ending, and forcing us into this weird status quo where China didn't have a navy that could challenge the United States. So therefore, the Taiwanese were occupied by the KMT from the mainland. That's not, it wouldn't be imperialism. It would be an unnecessary war of aggression. I think it would be oppressive. I think it would be bad, but it's not, it's not even a war of aggression. It would be an unnecessary war. All right. I don't think you should do an invasion because diplomacy will work, but it's not imperialism. Like, Taiwan has been part of China for centuries. It's not imperialism. Just like when the Union absorbed the Confederacy, that was not imperialism on the Confederacy. It's just nonsense. Now, Taiwan, over the last 30 years, has liberalized quite a lot, and that's a good thing. I'm not against the fact that they ended their military dictatorship, okay? That's a good thing. I'm glad they have some sort of elections and whatever, but the idea that Taiwan is not an integral part of American imperialism, and this is where her fucking analysis is dog shit. Taiwan is part of American imperialism. That's why Taiwan supports Ukraine, and this is more important, why Taiwan supports Israel and is supporting Israel, the U.S.'s war in Iran right now. Okay, that's because Taiwan is part of American imperialism, is an outpost of American imperialism. So pretending like, China is doing imperialism toward Taiwan. No, Taiwan is our imperialism. Like, what are you talking about? I think you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. She's not going to be like the Lizzie Graham of Taiwan. Come on, Mike, be for real. She says she is the Tom Cotton of Taiwan. I don't know what you want me to say, man. Just like we said, Fetterman being kind of shitty on Israel, being a liberal Zionist, taking J Street money, it's not that big a deal. He's good on all the other issues, guys. Why are you fixating on his Israel position? He's a liberal Zionist. It's not ideal, but why are you just ignore the Israel position? Look how he supports legalizing magic mushrooms and trans rights and raising the minimum wage. And he was a Bernie Sanders endorser and blah, 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 blah. You were saying that. I was saying that. Didn't you learn your lesson? Didn't you fucking learn your lesson that when somebody comes out with a terrible, terrible, terrible foreign policy? Oh, guys, first time chatter wants you to know I'm making stuff up. Who created their account March 8th, and his first thing is coming in and lying. Okay, let's listen, guys. She's not at all an op.
When it comes to Ukraine, Putin is not going to stop with Ukraine, and we need to.
Okay, that is just, what is she saying? What the fuck is she saying? She says what? She thinks Putin is going to invade NATO? Like, what are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? This is just Tom Cotton shit, by the way. This is what Tom Cotton says. This is what Lindsey Graham says.
Along with a coalition across the world, specifically through seizing Russian oligarch assets to pay for weapons.
They already did that. We've poured hundreds of billions of dollars of weapons into Ukraine. That's already been done. What is this, 2003? Like, what are we doing here? We've been doing this for longer than World War I at this point. Like, what are you saying? Peace candidate, by the way.
Continue helping them.
Can you go over what China is doing to the Uyghurs? Currently, nothing.
To get a better position at the bargaining table. And the reason I mentioned dropping strategic ambiguity is specifically because of this president. I think a lot of people, and this is just the purge that has to happen in my community from time to time. A lot of people don't like a principled leftist. This same type of shit happened with Kamala Harris, right? You guys just don't like when someone tells you the facts. Not all of you. I think the people that watch me care and want me to do that. They want me to tell you what she's saying, right? But other people want proximity to power over everything else, And it's, by the way, you're allowed to disagree with me. You could think
Mike, she doesn't believe this. She doesn't know what she's talking about. That's the position of saying ignore this. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's young. She's dumb. Don't link me jumpscare.com. What the fuck is this shit? And this is just a disagreement between me and Hassan. He thinks you could overlook it. I don't. You know, make your own decision. Listen to our arguments. If you think that it's overlookable, it's overlookable. If you think there's literally dozens of other candidates that don't do this and double and triple down, they go support one of those like I am.
Ambiguity, if we had someone that was, you know, well reasoned, or you didn't know what you knew what they were kind of going to do at any possible moment, I wouldn't dream of touching it. But we have no idea what Trump is going to do. And the possibility of a Chinese invasion could result in him saying, look, hands off, or it could result in him dropping a nuke.
By the way, her position doesn't stop him from doing any of that. He's commander in chief. He's got his finger on the nuclear football. He could drop a nuke right now. It has presidential authority right now. Also, if he said hands off, why is he not allowed to make that decision? He's fucking president of the United States. That's why we don't want to have him as president of the United States. What the fuck are you talking about? Chinese invasion? Right now, oh my God, chat, a golden Kappa hype train. Is Hassan CIA too? No, Hassan just thinks that she's young and she's wrong and she'll change her mind. Like, that's his position. I think he's wrong about that. It is what it is. We're allowed to disagree on that. He doesn't defend her position. He doesn't say this position is good. He says this position is bad, but notwithstanding this position, you should still support her. That's his position. I believe the opposite, that she's not a good candidate for a variety of other reasons. I already talked about if this was the only thing about her, I might even not care. But there's about 5 warning signs to me. Why did she decide to move to this district in particular and run against a pro-Palestine Jewish woman who was an incumbent? Why did she pick this district in particular? Nobody's asked her that. I want to know why she did that. Why, of all the districts in the country, because she didn't live in Chicago, did she pick this one? You know, like, that's where my red flag went up. That's what makes me think she might be CIA. Not just these bad positions in foreign policy. It's like, why did you decide to go and primary one of the most pro-Palestinian Jewish women in Congress? That's fucking weird.
Kat, what do you say to people who say there's a contradiction between saying you want to
Hassan literally asked her that. Could you link me that? I'm happy to look at the answer.
Lessen military aid and weapon sales to Israel, but you're fine with military weapon sales and the military industrial complex.
That's where she's from. She lived in DC. She was born in Texas. Her family moved to Arizona. What do you mean that's where she's from? What? She just moved. What? What? Her family got rich as landlords in Texas, and then she moved to Arizona.
Like sending endless weapons to Ukraine and Taiwan.
Well, first off, I think that all military aid should look to do. And the possibility of a Chinese invasion could result in him saying, look, hands off, or it could result in him dropping a nuke.
Kat, what do you say to people who say there's a contradiction between saying you want to restrict, condition, lessen military aid and weapon sales to Israel, but you're fine with military weapon sales and the military industrial complex sending endless weapons to Ukraine and Taiwan?
Well, first off, I think that all military aid should be conditional across the board. That is an absolute...
Okay, well, what conditions would make you not want to give weapons to Ukraine? Them integrating Nazis into their regular military? Them passing anti-Russian discrimination laws? Them privatizing national assets and cutting welfare and labor rights? Like, what would make you them committing war crimes? Like what would it be? All of which are true. So what would make... Oh, by the way, chat, we have a golden Kappa hype train. I really don't like this candidate, chat. This is actually going to make me go feral how bad of a candidate she is. Like, yuck.
That I will not budge on. Second, I think that when it comes to military aid, we need to be looking at it a case-by-case basis, and also it should require the consent of those people. I also mentioned that we should not drop strategic ambiguity when it comes to the one China policy politically, because if Taiwan votes for reunification, we should absolutely support them in that endeavor. But this comes to the idea...
But we're going to spend billions of dollars on the National Endowment of Democracy. What the fuck is going on with Twitch lately with me? What the fuck is going on? How the fuck am I having Fs? Like, what the fuck? My internet is fine. I'm gonna lose my mind, dude. There's nothing wrong with my internet, bro. What is going on? Okay, it looks like the internet's supporting the stream right now, because if you sub, resub, give a prime sub, give at least 200 bits, Cat's DDoSing the stream. That's probably true. CIA is very mad. CIA is very mad.
Are we going to A, abandon promises we've made? B, are we also going to hold ourselves and any allies that we have accountable with any aid that we give? And C, what is the consent of the people on the ground? It's like when we talk about any solution between Israel and Palestine, I absolutely...
Should the United States be giving weapons to Gaza? Should why is nobody asking Kat that? Should the United States invade Israel? I mean, if we're going to be consistent on all this self-determination shit, like if that's her position, which it isn't, are you going to give weapons to Israel? Are you going to give, are you going to give weapons to Palestine resistance? Are you going to send in a military to defend from a, because if you believe it's a genocide, which you do, that implies a duty to resist. That requires a duty to intervene. If you're going to be consistent, we have a duty to intervene against Israel. And if you're not saying that, why not? Because it's not politically popular, I guess. So it isn't a consistent view. Here is Adam Johnson. By the way, chat, these are the people who are actually left-wing. I've heard Matt Duss make a similar argument, and I find it a bit padded disingenuous. Moral preferences for U.S. electeds are not abstractions. As an agent of the U.S. government empire, there's an obvious contradiction inherent in these proclamations. If the principle is anti-imperialism everywhere, whether U.S., Israeli, or Russia, and opposition against the latter is manifested by shipping arms to Ukraine, for the principle to be consistent, who does Abu Ghazaleh support arming to oppose U.S., Israel? Iran, the PFLP? Exactly. She's not calling for us to arm Gaza. Why not? Because it's not a principle. She's just saying word salad bullshit to deceive you. And I hate to be so harsh, but that's what's happening. What do you want me to do? Lie?
Hate the idea that it's the United States dictating whether it's one secular state or two states or here are the lines that we draw. That is not our business. It is the people that actually live there. And we have done enough damage here that is our responsibility to help rebuild, but not dictate.
Okay, also, what the fuck is this? There's no acceptable scenario that leaves Hamas in charge of the Gaza Strip. What the fuck does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? What? The largest resistance group to genocide? Wait, I guess self-determination doesn't apply for Palestinians. I guess the Palestinians, you know, listen, I don't support Hamas, but they're not ISIS, okay? And they are resisting against a goddamn genocide. Like, what are we doing here? What the fuck are we doing here? And I definitely wouldn't have the arrogance to say that I'm gonna dictate who's in charge of the Gaza Strip. What the fuck are you saying? Also, Taiwan is not an internationally recognized state. What the fuck is she talking about? How many places recognize Taiwan? Countries that have diplomatic relations with Taiwan. Okay, I think we've got Belize, Vatican City. Like, what are we doing here? Ambiguous status. What the fuck is she talking about? Okay, back to actual leftist takes on this. All right, everybody, congrats on your gold kappa. I should have shielded it more, but I'm just so annoyed. Double reverse Russia. The opposed all imperialism sounds sensible principle, but once starts using U.S. violence as a force of anti-imperialism, this obviously takes us into dicey waters. At the very least, it can't be consistent in arming resistance as a matter of course. I suppose I would appreciate this argument more if those advocating for it also advocated the U.S. arming resistance movements in Palestine, Lebanon, etc., but presumably they don't. So some anti-imperialist struggles get tanks and MPADs and others get GoFundMes and nice words. Seems that the actually consistent position is cutting off U.S. support for Israel and Russia. The problem is that we already do the latter. It's one of the most sanctioned countries in history. So there's not a comparable course since BDS against Russia is already U.S. political consensus. If the argument is no resistance movements opposing U.S. Israel are morally acceptable for arming and backing, whereas Taiwan and Ukraine opposition is, I suppose this is one hell of a coincidence. Oh, well. The answer is, Adam, this is just the CIA's newest blathering, an attempt to get you to support empire. Oh, it just so happens I support all of America's allies and hate all of America's enemies. It's such a coincidence. Ugh. I wish you could interview Kat directly. She hates my guts, bro. Like, what do you think? Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? And here's the thing, like, do you think that, again, do you think this is good for me? Like, for those of you who disagree, do you think that this is a position I'm coming to because of anything but strongly held disagreements? Thank you so much, Chatter, for actually getting this for me.
There is also one of the more progressive on this issue. Ironically enough, despite her age, she was one of the few congresspersons in the Democratic caucus that was actually better on the issue of Israel than everybody else.
Absolutely. And she's Jewish. And actually, when I launched, a lot of people were offended that I launched because they were like, how could you do this?
A lot of people, meaning me, because I'm the, who do you think knows that shit? You think other people know this shit about Congress? You think other influencers riding the fucking algorithm know about Congress? A lot of people. You mean me?
Is so offensive.
And my viewers.
And I was really clear, like, this was not a vendetta against her. I actually think she's done a lot of badass stuff. As a Palestinian person, you know, back in the aughts, she was advocating for Palestinian humanity.
Wow, it's almost like you could have picked a million other districts in Chicago, since you just moved there, to primary, like perhaps some Zionists. Maybe you can make the congressional delegation from Illinois better. So weird that you just so happen to go into a district with a pro-Palestinian fucking Jewish person. Man, that's so odd. What a coinky dink.
There are votes I would have done differently, especially in the last few years. But she boycotted Netanyahu's speech in 2015. Like, this is not a district that is pro-genocide. And
Thank you. That's exactly what I'm trying to get to. Is like this person. This person you were initially running against, like her position on the issue of Israel is far better than the overwhelming majority of Democrats.
And it's not just on this. She was the 20th most progressive Congress member. So you go in and you primary a Jewish woman who would be an asset as saying, as a Jewish person, supporting Palestinian liberation is not anti-Semitism. She's one of the most progressive people in Congress, period. And you go and you primary her saying she's too old, and then your positions are worse than hers? What are we doing here? What the fuck are we doing here?
Which to me implies that the district itself was clearly never...
Is there anything she could do or say that would be redeemable in your eyes? No. This stuff is irredeemably bad. Like, what do you want me to say? And by the way, she thinks it's more important that she support war against China than have my support. That's her mentality, which is, of course, I mean, you're running for Congress. I hope you have positions that you actually believe in, right? But those positions make me supporting you not plausible.
Interested in like punishing her at all.
No, and it's like, it's one of these things where I've had...
Do you think this self-entitled attitude, what the fuck does that mean? What the fuck does that mean, self-entitled? Are you fucking stupid? What are you talking about?
I don't think my positions are that radical on this. I think that every civilian deserves safety. I think that children shouldn't starve. I think that war criminals should be held accountable. Like, anyone who commits a war crime should be held accountable. And I think that Palestinians need official recognition of statehood.
Someone said, why did she run?
Obstinate loser behavior. That would be Kat Abu Ghazaleh, who's about to lose her election. Which, thank fucking God, we can move on.
Why did she decide to run then? Brother, she was 89. Like, what are you talking about? She
I'm sorry, dude. Like, this is where Hassan and I don't see eye to eye. This is where we just don't see eye to eye. I mean, it's water under the bridge, and I'm happy to say that, like, okay, well, you know, she dropped out. It is what it is. But like, if you don't have an actual reason, you parachute into a district. It just so happens to be one of the most pro-Palestinian members in Congress. Think about the odds of that happening by accident. How many pro-Palestine members are there in Congress? Oh, oops, I just accidentally found myself primarying one of the most pro-Palestine members. Whoa, wow, whoops. She's not 89 either. Wow, I just found myself primarying this pro-Palestinian woman. The answer is, in case you're wondering, she thought she would be able to primary Jan without AIPAC getting involved because, you know, an anti-AIPAC member being primaried by another anti-AIPAC person, maybe they would just let her skate without spending money in her race. And she would be able to take this seat from an old person and win on a generational campaign where she implies that Jan has bad policies based on her age, but she doesn't. Can you imagine if, like, someone moved into Vermont to primary Bernie and be like, and have like positions to the right of Bernie and then go like, what do you mean? I'm a young progressive person. He's old. It was an accident, I guess. I think everybody would be like, huh? Her longest issue page is ending anti-Semitism. Yeah, I'm looking at the polling. Now this is a text poll, which so which is interesting. Text to web and IVR. Okay. She did best with male voters at 29%. Oh, what really makes me sad is the people's second choice is like Bushra, which is like such a bummer, dude. Men, dude. Am I funded by Israel? The most famous pro-Palestinian streamer after Hassan is funded by Israel. How about this? I don't want a fucking enemy to be elected. Guys, make sure if you ever donated money to Kat Abou-Ghazaleh, make sure you fucking file for a refund. Make sure you're filing for a refund. God. Calling Kat an enemy is excessive. She is. And it's all right. Like, people could disagree with that, which is all right. Like, you're wrong. But she thinks that you should go die in war against China. She's not volunteering. She's not volunteering her ass to go fight a war in China. She wants to force you, though. She's perfectly comfortable with your 26-year-old ass going to die for fighting China. He's not volunteering. This is hard for people to understand because she has a position on something that isn't currently happening. Yes, I know. That's what happened with John Fetterman. What happened with John Fetterman is people were like, well, yeah, he's progressive except Palestine. And, you know, it makes me uncomfortable that he's taking money from J Street. But J Street is like the more liberal Zionist part of the Israel movement. So maybe he won't be, you know, it's better than the status quo. And they did this like fucking cope train about how it doesn't matter. And then October 7th happened. And John Fetterman abandoned everything in favor of supporting Israel. Now, why is that? Because the left came out against Israel's war on Gaza, just like the left would come out against a war on China. And you know what would happen with Kat Abou-Ghazaleh? She would stay. She would leave the left and support the war on China. Because all of you would be saying, we should have peace and not fight China. She would abandon you and run into the arms of America's empire because she cares more about supporting American imperialism in Asia. I'm sorry, this is now, it's not happening yet. And maybe it seems unlikely to you that we'll fight a war with China. Maybe it doesn't matter to you. Are you mad at John Fetterman? If you're mad at John Fetterman, then you can't vote for Kat. If you don't care about John and you don't think it was a big deal, then vote for her. I'm not going to allow one of the worst foreign policies I've ever seen to get my endorsement. It's just not happening. What, based on our current performance at war, what weapons besides nukes could we give Taiwan that would actually make a difference? She wants the U.S. Navy to fight the Chinese military directly. She wants the United States military to fight China directly. Like, that's her position. Her position is, if China invades Taiwan, the U.S. Navy and Air Force should fight Chinese forces. And just like Trump, she doesn't want to put boots on the ground in Taiwan. She wants to do what Trump is doing to Iran, to China right now. That's her position. Her position is, we'll use naval and air forces to fight the Chinese military. That is her position. I mean, how many times do I have to explain it? Mike, I don't know. Maybe ask her. Oh my God, fucking Christ. I should just ban people that don't take me for my word at this point. Hassan's argument is there's many China hogs in Congress already. That's why we don't need more of them. Here is her fucking response on China. For the foreseeable future, a long-term foreign policy challenge for the U.S. will be China. What is your assessment of the Trump administration's policy toward China, particularly with respect to the imposition of tariffs and China's policy toward Taiwan? And what policy changes toward China would you advocate? Okay. Policy changes. China is our greatest strategic competitor on the world stage.
9/11. 9/11.
The Pentagon predicts that in the next 5 years, there is a high likelihood that China will invade Taiwan. Okay, do you guys believe Kat Abou-Ghazaleh or not? She's saying this will be an issue while she's in office. She promises to only serve in office for 10 years. So in the middle of her time in Congress, she says that China will invade Taiwan. So you guys are saying it's not going to happen. She's saying it will happen because she believes the Pentagon. We cannot allow an invasion to succeed. And we have to do everything possible to prevent it through deterrence. Under the UN Charter, all peoples from Palestine to Congo have the right to self-determination, and this is no different. I support amending the Taiwan Relations Act to drop our strategic ambiguity toward defending the island militarily without touching the political one China policy outlined in the Shanghai Communique. So she basically wants to end the one China policy, but then claims she doesn't want to end the one China policy. That policy has worked in the past where the president could be trusted to be effective on the world stage, or, generally had a grasp on diplomacy, on geopolitical security. Taiwan has to decide its future democratically, that it can't be imposed by an aggressor. I want to codify passive support to sell Taiwan weapons and prevent the president from overruling it unilaterally. This is, I mean, guys, I'm sorry. Are you okay? This isn't I'm 26 and I'm stupid. This is I am a fascist and I want American empire to rule Asia. I want America to be a geopolitical power in Asia. I want America to have strategic hegemony in Asia. What the fuck are you talking about? If China invades Taiwan, we need to step in militarily to defend Taiwan. We have to use all our assets in the region to defend the island from illegal aggression. What? This is not a joke. She said, again, remember, she said China's going to invade Taiwan in the next 5 years. And her response is, we need to fight a war against China to defend Taiwan. That is her position. Her position is, we're going to fight a war with China in 5 years. That's her position. She says, I support fighting a war with China in 5 years. That's her fucking position. Now, you can say she's stupid, and I agree with you. She is fucking stupid, but I'm never going to support this. And I'm sorry, I don't think you could overlook it. It's a batshit crazy position that could lead to, unironically, a nuclear war. And this is more importantly, she wants to make sure that AOC is not allowed to have a different opinion. She wants to force President AOC into a war against China because presumably AOC wins in 2028. She wins re-election in 2032. In 2033, China invades Taiwan, according to Kat. And then she wants to have a law in place to force AOC to fight a war against China. That is her foreign policy. What is AOC's stance on Taiwan? Strategic ambiguity, which is what she wants to get rid of. AOC's position is we want to have cooperation with China. We want to prevent them from doing anything aggressive against Taiwan militarily, but we are not going to say whether or not we will fight China. But we might, but we probably won't. We might, just as a way of trying to make China's calculation about invading Taiwan more expensive. But she doesn't say, oh my God, we need to fight a war with China, which, by the way, is the position of the status quo, which unironically is a smart position. Now, I personally think Taiwan, we should just stop interfering at all. But Kat's position is Tom Cotton's position. Hassan doesn't know it's cooked. Guy, okay, stop linking me Hassan. We're talking about Kat, not Hassan. All right? Hey, what do you want me to say? If China invades Taiwan, we need to step in military to defend Taiwan. This is fucking insane, dude. This is fucking insane, bro. I'm sorry. What the fuck are you talking about? And actually defending the island if they do invade. Committing to actually defending the island if they do invade. She wants to expand NATO to Taiwan, I guess. I'm sorry. It's fucking crazy, bro. I'm sorry, dude. Like, what do you want me to say? That's fucking crazy. What the fuck are you... What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? What the fuck are we doing here? This is not overlookable. If you can overlook this, I don't really think you're a leftist, man. I think that there's something going on. Like, what's going on, man? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Mike, are you backing Biss? I mean, I am not backing Biss because he's basically Kat Abba-Ghazaleh, but with a better China policy. I don't, consider him to be a super exciting. I mean, I still think you should vote for Bushra, who is the actual DSA candidate, and who's doing quite well, actually. She does really well as second choice candidate, which is a real bummer. Because with that, if Kat wasn't in there, she probably would have won. I'm wondering why you've been lobbying against her for one stance. I've lobbied against her for many other stances as well, like supporting Pete Buttigieg's campaign, Medicare for All plan, which she then changed based on my commentary without acknowledging me. Guys, the election is next week, so it is what it is. This will thankfully be over. You can go back to making videos online or whatever the fuck, and this will hopefully be over soon. Someone asked me for a link of AOC voting for arms to Taiwan. Yeah. That's different than what Kat's position is. That's different than voting in favor of selling Taiwan weapons is different than Kat's position. Kat's position is we should fight a war militarily over China. They're not the same. They're not even close to the same. I don't know why people try to make this the same. I don't know why you guys are trying to like make Kat's position AOC's. It's not. It's just not. I am beyond ecstatic to announce that AOC has a. Oh, look, this guy follows me. Oh, shit. AOC endorsed him. Hell yeah. I hope she does it. She's not going to endorse Kat, by the way. And neither will Bernie. And if you want to know why, it's because her foreign policy is insane. AOC and Bernie are not going to endorse Kat because her foreign policy is insane. And they don't agree with it. And they think she might be a CIA plant. No, I'm not going to put words into their mouth. They're not going to endorse her. Ask yourself why that is. They're endorsing people in the district next over. Why aren't they endorsing her? All right, I'm done talking about this fucking. I don't know what else. I don't know what to say. I don't know what else to say. An Iranian drone attack in Kuwait that killed U.S. service members in the early hours of the war with Iran has more severe. Okay, let's talk about the war in Iran. I don't even want to talk about her anymore. Like, you guys have successfully browbeat me into not caring about this race at all. But I gotta say, like, if you want somebody who's not going to be principled on China, you came to the wrong place. You know what I mean? Like, if you want me to be like, oh yeah, war with China is A-okay, vote for this person, you're fucking insane. Like, who do you think you're talking to? Kat Abu Ghazaleh is fucking insane. And if you like her, it's not for the policy. I don't know what else to say. I don't agree with saying that this is fine. And you know what? I'll be completely frank. The reason why people want this to slide is because, let's be honest, she comes on people's shows. She's in the like left-wing sphere. Many of her policies are pretty good, right? And this seems ignorable. Like, are we really going to fight a war with China? That doesn't seem plausible right now. According to Kat, we're going to fight a war with China in 5 years. According to her, we are. According to her, it's not unlikely. According to her, it will happen, or there's a high likelihood that it will happen. And she says, when it happens, she wants our military in combat with a nuclear power. That's what it is. So people are like, well, you could overlook that. It's a bad policy. It's not really going to happen. She'll only be one congresswoman. Who cares? And the answer is, do you feel the same way about John Fetterman? If you've never been mad at John Fetterman, then support her. I agree with everything you're saying about Kat, but if nobody who knows what they're talking about is willing to converse with you about this, then I don't know what else there's to go beyond this topic. I mean, listen, ultimately, my position is this. I actively oppose Kat Abu Ghazaleh. I do not want her to win. I think it would be a terrible outcome for the left if she won. I don't want her to win. And you could disagree with me on that. That's fine. But I want to assuage you that if Daniel Biss wins, you're going to get the same type of politician out of Illinois' 9th. I mean, honestly, it's a free roll. Either we get Daniel Biss or we get Kat Abu Ghazaleh. They're the same politician. Who fucking cares? Well, he's better on China. She's scarier on China, but largely on domestic policy, you get this. So who gives a fuck? Honestly, who cares? But I personally am trying to fight against a new Cold War. And let me tell you, can I give you one more reason why this is so important to me? Can you explain why Plattner can change, but Kat can't? Oh, that's very easy. Plattner, he's got a good policies now. And Kat doesn't. So he changed by changing. Kat hasn't changed. So I'm not going to fantasize about a Kat that doesn't exist. You feel me? You follow me? He didn't, though. Yes, he fucking did. Chat got parasocially attached to a random woman on the internet, and now they're having a sunk cost fallacy crash out. It's embarrassing, but also a sign of our online left space being vulnerable to grifter liars. Yes, it's a huge problem. It's a huge fucking problem. I had these same arguments about Tulsi Gabbard. I had these same arguments about Elizabeth Warren. I've had these same arguments about all these for years and years, and I've always been proven right. About Jimmy Dore, I've always been proven right. Deja Fox was just earlier this year, or earlier, like, you know what I mean? Like, I already had these arguments about other candidates and was proven right. But again, people don't just trust me. They try to exercise their own judgment, which, you know, of course, you can't blame them for that. But their judgment is bad. Daniel Biss was a big snake during the primary. His team and himself were super pro-Warren and anti-Bernie. Yeah, no shit. Exactly. Daniel Biss is sus. But that's where Kat Abu Ghazaleh comes from. She was a Pete Buttigieg supporter in 2020. Why are you guys pretending like Kat is some sort of like long-standing progressive? She was a Pete Buttigieg supporter. Like, what are you doing? And then also, and this is the other point that I need you to understand, is that if Kat Abu Ghazaleh gets her way, Assad and I will be declared traitors. I know this seems like maybe I'm being a little bit over the top, but that's what happened in the past. Those people that fought against the Cold War were hauled in front of Congress by Democrats. Let me show you what I'm fighting against happening. And you could say that maybe I am being extreme, but this is what they're trying to do. Okay, this is what they're trying to do. This is what people that are like, oh, we got to fight a war with China are going to do when we try to protest it.
Now, Mr. Robeson,
do I have the privilege?
So Paul Robeson was a very famous musician. He was a bass singer, and he was a socialist. And he fought against the Cold War and in favor of peaceable relations between East and West. And for that, he was one of the America's first black celebrities. One of their most, a black musician. He was really famous, and he was a socialist, arguing for, and this is in the 50s. And so he was called before HUAC, which is the House Un-American Affairs Committee. And this is what will be in our future if we're fighting a war with China. You think they're going to let me exist if we're literally in combat against China? Think they're going to let Assad exist if they're fighting a war, an existential world war against China?
Asking who's addressing me?
I'm Richard Ahrens.
What is your position?
I'm director of the staff. Did you file a passport application in July 2, 1954?
I filed about 25 in the last few months.
In July of 1954, were you requested to submit a non-communist affidavit?
Under no conditions would I think of signing such an affidavit. It is a contradiction of the rights of American citizens.
Are you now a member of the Communist Party?
Oh, please, please, please.
Please answer, will you, Mr. Robeson?
What is the Communist Party? What do you mean by that?
Are you now a member of the Communist Party?
Would you like to come to the ballot box when I vote and take out the ballot and see?
Mr. Chairman, I respectfully suggest the witness be directed to answer the question.
You are directed to answer the question.
I invoke the Fifth Amendment and forget it.
I respectfully suggest the witness be directed to answer the question whether, if he gave us a truthful answer, he would be supplying information which might be used against him in a criminal proceeding.
You are directed to answer, Mr. Robeson.
In the first place, wherever I have been in the world, the first to die in the struggle against fascism were the communists. I laid many wreaths upon the graves of communists. That is not criminal. Chief Justice Warren has been very clear that
this isn't a movie, chat. This is a dramatic rereading of a transcript at the House Un-American Activities Committee by James Earl Jones about Paul Robeson. He's reading Paul Robeson's testimony. This is history. This is not a movie. This is not fake. This is reality. This is what really happened against socialists and communists in this country after World War II, during the Cold War. This is what those people who want to fight a war against China want to have for you. They want to bring you in front of committees. They want to blacklist you. They want to say you're a China spy or a Chinese agent. They want to bleed millions of deaths. You know what would happen in a war against China? You understand how insane this position is? This is what Kat Abu-Ghazaleh wants to do to you.
Amendment does not have anything to do with the influence of criminality, and I invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Have you ever been known under the name of John Thomas?
Oh, please, does somebody here want me to put up a perjury someplace? John Thomas, my name is Paul Robeson, and anything I have to say, I have said in public all over the world, and that is why I'm here today.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that you direct the witness to answer the question. He's making a speech.
I ask you to affirm or deny the fact that your Communist Party name was John Thomas.
I invoke the Fifth Amendment. This is really ridiculous.
The witness talks very loud when he makes a speech, but when he invokes the Fifth Amendment, I can't hear him.
I have medals for diction. I can talk plenty loud.
Will you talk a little louder?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment loudly.
Sir, who are Mr. and Mrs. Vladimir
I
Nikiev?
invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Do you know a Manning Johnson?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Do you know Gregory Kifitz?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Do you know a Max Jurgen?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Max Jurgen.
Why don't you have these people here to be cross-examined? Could I ask whether this is legal?
This is not only legal, but usual. By unanimous vote, this committee has been instructed to perform this very distasteful task.
To whom am I talking?
You're speaking to the chairman of the committee.
Mr. Walter?
Yes.
The Pennsylvania Walter?
That is right.
Representative of the steel workers?
That is right.
And the coal mining workers?
That is right.
Not United States Steel by any chance. A great patriot.
That is right.
You are the author of the bills that are going to keep all kinds of decent people out of the country.
No, only your kind.
Colored people like myself. and you would let in the Teutonic Anglo-Saxon stock.
We are trying to make it easier to get rid of your kind, too.
You don't want any colored people to come in. Could I be allowed to read from my statement?
Will you just tell this committee, please, while under oath, Mr. Robeson, the communists who participated in the preparation of that statement?
Oh, please. The reason I'm here today, from the mouth of the State Department itself, is I should not be allowed to travel because I have struggled for the independence of the colonial peoples of Africa. The other reason I'm here today, again, from the State Department and from the record of the Court of Appeals, is that when I am abroad, I speak out against injustices against the Negro people in this land. That is why I'm here. I'm not being tried for whether I'm a communist. I'm being tried for fighting for the rights of my people, who are still second-class citizens in this country, in this United States of America. My mother was born in your state, and my mother was a Quaker. My ancestors, in the time of
Quaker,
Washington,
not picker.
baked
What?
bread for George Washington's troops when they crossed the Delaware. My father was a slave. I stand here struggling for the rights of my people to be full citizens in this country. And they are not. They are not in Mississippi. They are not in Montgomery, Alabama. They are not in Washington. They are nowhere. And that is why I'm here today. You want to shut up every Negro who has the courage to stand up and fight for the rights of his people, for the rights of workers, and I have been on many a picket line for the steel workers too, and that is why I'm here today.
Would you tell us whether or not you know Thomas W. Young?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Thomas W. Young is a Negro president of the Guide Publishing Company. I'd like to read you his testimony, quote, Paul Robeson has no moral right to place in jeopardy the welfare of the American Negro to advance a foreign cause. In the eyes of the Negro people, this false prophet is unfaithful to their country, and they repudiate him, close quote. Do you know the man that said that?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment now. Can I read my statement? It is a sad and bitter comment.
While you were in Paris in 1949, Mr. Robeson, did you tell an audience the American Negro would never go to war against the Soviet government?
May I say that is slightly out of context? May I explain to you?
And I want to say now, loud and clear to Kat Abu-Ghazaleh and all her supporters, we will never go to war against China. You try to put me in a war against China, I'm going to go to war against you, motherfucker. I'll bring it, you know, like you try to put me in a war against China, I'll be fighting you.
What I did say, I remember the speech very well. 2,000 students who came from populations that would range to 600 or 700 million people asked me to say in their name that they did not want war. No part of my speech in Paris says 15 million American Negroes would do anything. I said it was my feeling that the American people would struggle for peace, and that has been since underscored by the President of these United States. Now, in passing, I said...
Do you know any people who want war?
Listen to me. I said it was unthinkable...
Kat Abu-Ghazaleh. Kat Abu-Ghazaleh wants war. Sorry.
Me. That
That's
any
one.
people could take up arms in the name of a man like Senator Eastland of Mississippi against anybody. Gentlemen, I still say that. This United States government should go to Mississippi and protect my people. That is what it should do.
I lay before you, sir, an article, quote, I am looking for full freedom, unquote, by Paul Robeson in The Worker. July 3rd, 1949, quote, I said it was unthinkable that the Negro people of America or elsewhere could be drawn into war with the Soviet Union. I repeat it with 100-fold emphasis, they will not, close quote.
And, gentlemen, they have not. It is clear that no Americans are going to go to war with the Soviet Union.
While you were in Stockholm, did you make a little speech?
I made all kinds of speeches.
Let me read you a quotation.
Let me listen.
Do so, please.
I am a lawyer.
It would be a revelation if you would listen to counsel.
In good company, I usually listen. But you know, people wander around in such fancy places.
You said, Mr. Robeson, and I quote, I belong to the American resistance movement, which fights against American imperialism, just as the resistance movement fought against Hitler.
Just like Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman were underground railroaders and fighting for our freedom, you bet your life.
I have to insist that you listen to these questions.
I am listening.
I quote further, why should the Negroes ever fight against the only nation in the world where racial discrimination is prohibited and where the people can live freely? Never. They will never fight against either the Soviet Union or the people's democracies, close quote. Did you make that statement?
I do not remember, but What is perfectly clear today is that 900 million people, other colored people, have told you they will not. 400 million in India and millions everywhere have told you that.
The witness has answered the question. He doesn't need to make a speech.
Did you write an article that was published in the USSR Information Bulletin?
Yes.
Quote, I want to emphasize that only here in the Soviet Union did I feel that I was a real man with a capital M, close quote.
I would say, what is your name?
Aaron.
I am quite willing to answer the question. When I was a singer years ago, and this you will have to listen to.
I am listening.
I am a bass singer, so for me, it was Chelyabin, the great Russian bass, not Caruso the tenor. I learned the Russian language to sing their songs. I wish you would listen now.
Mr. Chairman, I ask you to direct the witness to answer the question.
Just be fair with me.
I ask for order.
The great poet of Russia is of African blood.
Let us not go
It
so
is
far
important to
afield.
explain this.
Did you make that statement?
When I first went to Russia in 1934...
Did you make that
When I
statement?
first went to Russia in
Did you
1934...
make that statement?
In Russia, I felt for the first time like a full human being. No color prejudice like in Mississippi. No color prejudice like in Washington. It was the first time I felt like a human being. When I did not feel the pressure of color as I feel it in this committee today.
Why do you not stay in Russia?
Because my father was a slave, and my people died to build this country. And I'm going to stay here and have a part of it just like you, and no fascist-minded people will drive me from it. Is that clear?
You are here because you are promoting the communist cause.
I am here because I'm opposing the neo-fascist cause, which I see arising in these committees. Jefferson could be sitting here, and Frederick Douglass could be sitting here. Eugene Debs could be sitting here.
Now, what prejudice are you talking about? You were graduated from Rutgers. You were graduated from the University of Pennsylvania. I remember seeing you play football at Lehigh. There was no prejudice against you.
Just a moment. This is something I challenge very deeply, that the success of a few Negroes can make up for $700 a year for thousands of Negro families in the South. My father was a slave, and I have cousins who are sharecroppers. I do not see success in terms of myself. I have sacrificed hundreds of thousands of dollars for what I believe in.
While you were in Moscow, Mr. Robeson, did you make a speech lauding Stalin?
I can't remember.
Have you recently changed your mind about Stalin?
Stalin, gentlemen, is a question for the Soviet Union, and I won't argue with a representative of the people who, in building America, wasted the lives of my people. You are responsible, you and your forebears, for 60 to 100 million black people dying in the slave ships and on the plantations. Don't you ask me about anybody.
I'm sure you wouldn't want to discuss with us the slave labor camps in the Soviet Union.
Nothing could be built more on slavery than this society, I assure you.
I would invite your attention to the Daily Worker of June 29, 1949, with reference to a get-together with you and Ben Davis, formerly communist councilman in New York. Do you know Ben Davis?
One of my dearest friends. He is as patriotic an American as can be. And you, gentlemen, are the non-patriots.
Just a minute.
You are the un-American.
The hearing is now adjourned.
I think it should be.
I've been doing all of this that I can.
Can I read my statement?
No! The meeting is adjourned.
It should be.
So when somebody says, in the next 5 years, China's going to invade Taiwan, and we should fight a war against China. But I'm a progressive socialist, by the way. Were you born yesterday? Were you born yesterday? Are you okay? No, but Mike, she's really good. She really cares about Medicare for all. When I was 26, I was like, I want to make it a policy for President AOC to fight a war against China during her second term. The fuck? All right. So if you're in Illinois and you want somebody to support, why don't you just go over to Illinois' 8th district? Because AOC has just endorsed. She won't be endorsing in Illinois' 9th district. That much I can guarantee you. And maybe that's something you should ponder. Why aren't they endorsing Kat Abou-Ghazaleh? Something to consider. This guy's following me. Huge W. Huge W for him.
Junaid here. Let's talk about money.
Because in this race, where the money comes from tells you who the candidate listens to. Well, let's just say my opponent, Melissa Bean, listens to her donors over actual voters. She has taken hundreds of thousands of dollars from dark APAC money with no end in sight. I will not take a dime of corporate PAC money or dark APAC money.
Junaid here.
Hell yeah, brother. And this is an actual DSA guy. How do they actually make people believe this China is this existential threat for military conflict? Well, they do this blathering rad lib bullshit where they're like, oh, Taiwan's self-determination is so important to me. It just lines up exactly with Tom Cotton's imperialism. That's just a coincidence because I believe America should fight China in a bloody world war over Taiwan. I also support Ukraine. And it's like, Ukraine and Taiwan love Israel. Does that throw you off at all? That Taiwan and Ukraine or love Israel? Does that bother you at all? Does that maybe think there might be a contradiction there somewhere in your thinking process? Anyway, chat, let's move on to breaking news. 3 ships have just been struck in the Strait of Hormuz attempting to transit the Strait. Iran has damaged 3 ships, one of which is currently on fire. The others have been abandoned.
New images near the Strait of Hormuz off Iran where new attacks are now.
Why were people comparing voting Cat to being no different to voting for Platter? Because they're lying. Because my opposition to Cat is based on her policies. People's oppositions to Plattner is based on his bad optics with the tattoo and being a veteran in the past, not his current policies. You don't hear anybody criticizing Plattner by criticizing what he stands for now. They criticize him for being a veteran. Okay. Whereas with Kat, I'm not criticizing her because of her past. I'm criticizing her because of her China policy for being insane. You understand the difference between the two? Notice the thing that matters to me the most is always the policies, not the optics.
Sending oil prices
She's not running for president. Neither is John Fetterman. Do you support John Fetterman? John Fetterman, he ran as a progressive. And then the war on Gaza happened and the entire left abandoned him because he supported Israel. What do you think would happen if Kat got her way and there was a war against China? You think the left is going to be pro-war on China? Or do you think she'll abandon the left to support her war on China, which under tremendous pressure, she's doubling and tripling down now? Think about that. She could have just been like, yeah, that position was written by my old advisor. It's stupid. I think that we should have cooperation and peace with China while at the same time respecting Taiwan's autonomy. Like, she could have just said that, but she decided to be like, no, I'm going to have a war with China.
Another wild ride today. This is a Thai flagged ship, one of at least 3 vessels that have been struck today in that critical waterway. Thailand's Ministry of Transport says 20 crew members have been rescued. 3, though, remain unaccounted for. We're going to show you a map of the approximate locations of these attacks on ships today in the Strait. A reminder, some 20 million barrels of fuel a day move through this critical shipping route, and it is clearly effectively remains shut down because of this very real threat. Let's get right to Paula Hancock's live in Abu Dhabi for the latest on this. What are you hearing here?
Well, Kate, we just heard from the UK Maritime Agency, and they say that as of now, they believe that about 13 vessels have been impacted since this war started. Now, you mentioned that Thai-flagged ship. We have some more information on that as well from authorities. They said that there was an explosion at the stern and then a fire broke out in the engine room. Now, this is believed to be where those 3 missing sailors were on duty at the time. So 20 rescued by the Omani Navy. We know that the captain told the crew to evacuate. They got in lifeboats and were then saved, but 3 still missing at this point. So it is a great concern that Iran appears to be ratcheting up these attacks on vessels in the Strait of Hormuz and in these very critical waters. Now, one of the vessels, we understand, was a cargo vessel, so we're not just talking about the restrictions of oil getting to where it needs to here. There's a lot more that there are concerns of. Now, a quick look at what else has been happening since Iran has said that it's going to have its most intense and heaviest operation. We do appear to be seeing a fairly consistent retaliation across the Gulf nations. Here in the UAE, we have been hearing a number of different waves of interceptions. Dubai Airport, there were 2 drones that hit nearby. We understand that 4 people have been injured there. Authorities saying in the vicinity of Dubai Airport that fell. Flights have started to take off again now, though. We also know that in Bahrain, in Kuwait, in Saudi Arabia, they have also seen interceptions and alerts over the past 24 hours. And Iran has also expanded, if you like, its target list. We are hearing from Iranian officials through state media that they say now offices and assets of major American tech companies with operations in the region would be considered a legitimate target. Now, clearly, there are many in this Gulf region. We also had an interesting quote I want to bring to you from the Qatari Foreign Ministry spokesperson saying that from day one they had warned that this could be the potential fallout of any military action in Iran. He said, quote, "This is the biggest I told you so in the history of I told you so's in the world." Clearly, there is frustration and anger among leaders in this region.
I don't understand why the left generally doesn't have an issue with Platter wanting to close the military shipbuilding gap with China, increasing military benefits so that recruitment increases for the American imperialist military. He directly addressed that and said it's not, he doesn't want to build a navy to contend with China. If you want to learn more, he talked about it in the ice fishing stream. He was talking more about the fact that our industry is fucking destroyed. And they want to have, like Coast Guard cutters and shit to prevent things like drug smuggling. He very specifically talked about that during his ice fishing stream. And when asked about China, this is what he said. I have a video of it. I mean, if you want to talk about Plattner, that's fine. Plattner is far superior to Cap Abu Ghazaleh, and it's not even close. I mean, if you wanted me to just show you why she's a dumb fucker.
Our position towards China should be one of cooperation instead of one of opposition. I mean, in many ways, because
here he directly calls out Kat Abu Ghazaleh.
That's what it is already. We just pretend that it isn't. I mean, I think we pretend that because it's good for the military-industrial complex. Politically, for some people, I think they want to see a continued multipolar world in which we have to always be in some form of aggressive, almost war posture, much like we had against the Soviet Union, which I just see as absurd because China...
Mike hemorrhaging credibility over the cell phone. Mike hemorrhaging... This is actually a moment of where I get credibility in the long run. I lose credibility with parasocial idiots, but I gain credibility in the long run. Sort of like when I told you that Kamala Harris is going to lose horribly. And everybody said, oh, this is Mike. Mike's take is bad. You know what I mean? This is where I gain. That's why Mike is right is all in all your favorite chatters chats. Mike is right is there because of moments like this one. And in fact, make sure you're saying Mike is right as much as you can in everybody's chat. And that's why your favorite streamers are maulding and declining. I don't know if you see their streamer curves lately. Ugh.
We rely on many of the cheap goods China builds. China relies on us to buy them. We have a very integrated economy, which we pretend isn't happening.
Yeah.
Our position towards China should be one of cooperation instead of one of opposition. Multipolar world in which we have to always be in some form of aggressive, almost war posture.
And that is, he's directly talking about Kat Abu Ghazaleh there. She wants us to be in an aggressive, almost war posture with Taiwan. And here is Graham Plattner saying that that's bad and we should cooperate with China because that's what we already do. Any other questions comparing the two? You want me to show you how Graham Plattner is far superior to Kat Moore? You want to keep losing the argument? Or can we talk about Iran? By the way, Kat's gonna fucking lose. Who cares? This is all fucking moot anyway. She's gonna fucking lose. Who gives a shit? No one's gonna care about runner-up Kat in fucking 2 months. Who gives a shit? She'll move back to fucking DC or back to Arizona. Like, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? She'll go back to working for Hillary Clinton's bag man at Media Matters or something. Like, who gives a shit?
Very clearly. Paula Hancox, thank you so much, Paula, for bringing us all of those new headlines. I really appreciate it.
The geography is extremely well known and understood. And perhaps because of that, the risks currently being faced are so severe. Take, for example, Maersk Shipping, which has got at least 10 ships that it said.
Has Mike ever admitted to being wrong about anything? When I'm wrong, I do. But I just don't tend to make horrible mistakes like supporting genocidal maniacs. I mean, one of the things I was wrong about was overlooking a terrible foreign policy of John Fetterman. And so I learned from that mistake, and I don't do it anymore. So I overlooked John Fetterman's terrible foreign policy in favor of like domestic policy, and I learned my lesson not to do that.
As stranded in the northern part of the Strait of Hormuz, and many more on the outside that it can't get in.
It's not performative bullshit. You're stupid. Those are his positions as a politician making policy. Like, do you understand the difference between virtue signaling and policy, you dumb fuck? Why do you people like even like politics? You haven't read a fucking book. I don't even understand why you even do this. Why don't you pay attention to like K-pop drama or something else? You're lazy and you're stupid. It's more fun to like follow sports. Like, honest to God, imagine dedicating yourself to a warmonger against China. It's fucking nuts. She doesn't give a fuck about you. She'll send you to die. Why do you think you won't die in a war with China? Why are you special? Is it your anxiety disorder will keep you out of the draft or whatever you think? Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, Jesus.
Or out because obviously the waterway is so difficult. In addition, they are refusing to send now ships.
Where was the energy yesterday in Hassan's chat? I was there. I was literally making fun of Kat the entire time. I said, debate me to Kat. And then she said, oh, it's not me, it's the producer. Like, what are you talking about? And the reality is Hassan and I disagree, and we could disagree on this race. It's not that big of a deal. Like, it happens all the time. We disagree on things. We don't have the exact same takes. He thinks in his mind she is friendly to us. She's not, but it's okay. He believes that she could be changed. I think that that's incorrect. I don't think she could be changed. These are our personal opinions. We disagree. I'm trying to persuade you that as a politician, she is a dangerous politician and her positions are bad. You're allowed to disagree with me. If you live in Illinois' 9th district, I would ask you to vote for Bushrod, the DSA candidate. But if you want to make this about like me being wrong, you can't really make an argument that I'm wrong on anything in particular. Hassan would agree with you. Hassan agrees with me that her policy on China is horrible. He agrees with me that her policy on China is horrible. He just thinks she's young and she'll change. I don't agree with that. You know, that's just a disagreement we have. It is what it is. Like, that's it. That's it. We're allowed to disagree on this. It is what it is. You're never going to, even in politics, even with people that you're really aligned with, you're never going to agree with them on everything. And the best way to operate is not to be a schizo about it, right? Like, I'm not going to be a schizo and lose my shit on Hassan and Majority Report. I disagree with them all the time. I disagreed with them on Kamala Harris. They said vote Kamala. I said don't vote Kamala. And that it'll be better for the left in the long run if Kamala Harris is defeated. And I stand 10 toes down on that position. And if you look at politics today, there's no Zohran Mamdani. There is no regrowth of DSA if Kamala Harris wins. That's just the reality. And maybe it'll end up working, and maybe it'll be worse. And I got to tell you, Trump is worse than I thought he would be, which is really bad. It's even worse than I thought. And I thought he was going to be terrible. And he's worse than I thought he would be. Because this war with Iran, I did not see coming. I got to admit that I don't think any of us believed that he would immediately bomb Iran. That's fucking insane. But here we are. Hopefully we could survive. I wish I could have supported Kamala Harris. But it is what it is. It's funny because this is just people wanting your permission to vote for her. They're not even in her district. These people aren't even in her district. They're just parasocial fans. A disagreement over whether a politician will get you killed is a little bit more than a simple disagreement. If you seriously believe that, I would never let them stop hearing that. I am just going by what she says. This is why I strongly feel the way that I do. But I also accept that I could be wrong about her. And I think that my relationships and the movement is more important than me going nuclear over one disagreement where, again, it's contingent. It's based on the future. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. It's called being a well-adjusted adult. I have a strong opinion. I disagree. I've shared that opinion. He disagrees with me. It is what it is. You need to learn how to live with other human beings, man. Like, ultimately, next week, this race will be over. And Kat Abu-Ghazaleh will no longer be relevant. And we can move on with our lives.
Up through into the Red Sea because of the possibilities of the Houthis.
What if she wins? Well, then I'll have a congresswoman who hates my guts. It won't be the first time.
and the risks around Yemen. As a result, something like Maersk is saying the current situation is absolutely uncharted and unprecedented.
Some of the hubs on which global trade does rely on are actually being affected, are being closed by the situation right now. It's true from Jebel Ali, it's true for Abu Dhabi, it's true for a few of those hubs, and this is going to.
This will be my final statement on it. If she wins, then I hope Hassan's right, and I'll do everything I can to make Hassan right. You know, I'll do everything I can to convince her that her position on China is bad. You know, I will hope Hassan's right. I'll reach out and I'll be like, now that you've won, I hope that you can change your mind on Taiwan, and I'll work with you on policies that I agree with you on. That'll be my position. If she loses, which I hope is what happens, she could go away. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to support someone ahead of time when they are saying they want to fight a war with China. That's fucking crazy. And that's my ultimate take.
Create ripple effect, I think, for a while, as we need to see how this is going to sort itself out.
I saw that. Thank you.
In the short run, we can manage this, but if this was to endure, this would create, I think, serious congestions and serious issues across the global supply chain.
What happens next is anybody's guess. The very idea that this area is being mined by the Iranians, or indeed that the US is going in and starting to attack those various rubber dinghies and ships that's doing the mines, it's simply unheard of, and frankly, we don't know how it will develop. The only thing we can say with any degree of certainty is that as long as that waterway remains closed, then the price of oil just keeps rising. Richard Quest, CNN, London.
With us now, CNN national security analyst Beth Sander, and with us, CNN military analyst, retired Colonel Cedric Leighton. And Beth, I just want to start with the latest news from what we've been seeing inside the Strait of Hormuz. This is one of the cargo vessels that's been hit. This is a new image we're getting in. Yeah. You can see the smoke coming out of that. It is one of 3 vessels hit, 1, 2, 3 over the last 12 hours or so. So what does this tell you? If the Iranians are doing this to ships in this key shipping lane, what does it tell you about what they're capable of and what their plans are?
So what we're seeing now, so we started off with this idea yesterday that they were going to start putting mines in. And I think that we have to understand here that mines are part of a system, right? So it's mines, drones, rockets, missiles, right? And so in this very small area, and the only place that you can pass here is really only 2 miles, not 20 miles. And so when you have this much concentration, what the Iranians are telling us is like, we're in, right? This is now, they have made a decision that they are shutting their own access here by laying these mines. They're shutting themselves in, essentially, and it's worth it for them. So they're all in now.
One of the things that been saying in the papers this morning is the Iranians are showing they have a vote.
Okay. Here's something that Hassan has blatantly said directly to me. He believes she's malleable. That's it. He believes she's malleable. That's it. At the ultimately, I don't like trusting that with politicians. I like my politicians to have good takes before they win.
In all of this, and just to give you one more sense of what this is, them shutting down the waterway, you can see ships here on one end of the strait, ships here on one end of the strait, but by and large, this area here, this most narrow area, 20 miles wide, but the shipping lane itself really just 2 miles, that all but empty. Cedric, I want to go to you with one other development overnight. This is inside Iraq, right? Inside Iraq, a key U.S. diplomatic...
I don't know why my Bluetooth with like iPhone earbud Bluetooth is so fucking bad. It's crazy. Like it dies for me so much. It's insane. And I want to get an in-ear monitor, but I also don't have the fucking, I just don't want to spend the time learning about in-ear monitors. You can never buy anything good anymore. Maybe it's because I don't know if there's something wrong with me, but like I hate buying overpriced crap. So every time I buy a piece of equipment, I have to do so much fucking research, and I just don't have it in me. I don't have it in me to do the fucking research for a good in-ear monitor. You know what I mean? Because if I just try to buy one, it's going to be crap. In-ear monitors only require 17 hours of research. That's exactly right. And I'm like, God damn it. Fuck.
struck overnight. I'll put it was right here. You can see it right here. What, again, does that tell you about what the Iranians have in mind and what they're still capable of?
Yeah, so John, good morning. What they're doing is they're actually looking at all the different important target sets. They've had a real opportunity to...
What is your argument to a purity test argument about Kat? Nothing, because I'm not talking about her anymore. All right, here's the rule. If you bring up Kat for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to time you out for an hour. No one cares. Let the second place, CIA op go back to fucking DC or wherever she's really from. Like, we got one more week of this annoying campaign with a not endorsed by Bernie, not endorsed by DSA, not Justice Democrat campaign. We got this DJ Cat has one more fucking week. Can we just move the fuck on? Update on your cats. Sure. Can you see? Sticks? He's at the top of the cat tree sleeping. He's a void. The only cat I'll vote for.
Since case all these targets, they know exactly where our diplomatic facilities are. They know where some of our CIA facilities are. They know where our military facilities are. And the reason they are doing this is their way asymmetrically of going after us. On the one hand, we measure things like number of aircraft taken out. We measure things like number of vessels taken out and how many we've put to the bottom of the Persian Gulf. That's all great. But the problem is the Iranians are fighting with other means. And as Beth was pointing out, they are using things like drones, missiles, and mines to take that asymmetric effort forward. And in some cases, they have an asymmetric advantage. And so going after, areas like logistics centers like they did in Kuwait, going after Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia, and going after that diplomatic support center in Baghdad is exactly part of the Iranian playbook.
And as they try to show, go ahead, Beth.
Yeah, so what I want to add to that, and I think, Cedric, you can jump in and disagree if I'm wrong here, but I mean, it's very, very likely that this was done by Iranian-backed militias that are Iraqis, right? We have not seen them join the fight. We have Hezbollah committing suicide in Lebanon, literally because, Israel is beating the crap out of them. And now we have Iraq joining in. Are we going to have Yemen join in? Are we going to have the Houthis join into this fight, which would, move us to the Red Sea? They haven't done that yet because it's not exactly in their interest right now to draw fire. They're kind of on their back heels right now domestically. But this is, again, an expansion of the war that we were kind of waiting for. It hasn't happened, but maybe this is it.
Cedric, when we go back to the Straits, Go ahead, Cedric. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. What I was going to say is, Beth is right. And I think we need to look at the possibility that the Houthis will get involved at some point in time. And that would then mean that two different choke points, the Persian Gulf choke point, at the Strait of Hormuz, and the Bab el-Mandeb, who as the Red Sea empties into the Indian Ocean. That is the kind of area that we actually could see some efforts. And
that's the thing. Like, the Houthis aren't even really starting up again. Like, if they could also start attacking ships to the Red Sea, there's more escalation than Iran can do. I think a lot of people don't understand that the United States is pretty much escalated to the maximum degree. All they could do from here are drop nukes or invade on the ground, right? Or just start attacking civilian infrastructure willy-nilly. I guess they could do that. They could try to turn all of Iran into Gaza, right? But Iran has so much more escalations they can rise up.
That is something where the proxies, just like Beth said in Iraq, the proxies are going to play a role in this. And this is, definitely an expansion of the effort. And the Iranians are controlling that narrative along with their proxies, of course.
Yeah, and just so you can see what we're talking about regionally, this is the Strait of Hormuz. This would be the Red Sea right here. The Houthis operating right here, perhaps shutting down some of the shipping in and out of that region. One other thing, we were talking about the mines, right? The idea, CNN was reporting that that Iran may be laying mines in the Red Sea. Then CENTCOM, in the Strait of Hormuz. Then CENTCOM released this video they say is of U.S. warplane.
Guys, they hit a speedboat. We're winning now. The IRGC just fired a major missile barrage to Israel. I mean, unfortunately, this is just, what do you want me to say, chat? I can't confirm this. This is just a video on social media. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just can't. I can't look at this and go like, yay, this definitely happens. Like, you know what I mean? It's just not verifiable.
And missiles striking the Iranian mine-laying ships. Is this enough to disable them? I think we think the Iranians have, 5,000 mines that they could use? Would this be enough to stop efforts to mine the Straits?
I mean, it's obviously it helps, but I mean, we're talking about a 1,000-mile coastline, and we're talking about a capacity of Iran to use all manner of ships, dhows, things that look like fishing ships. Yeah, you can't do that at scale, but you can certainly throw one or two over the back of the boat, and no one will know that. It's very, very hard to track down these very small vessels that can lay mines. So I think it's kind of whack-a-mole, and we've only whacked, one mole. I mean, it's not a lot.
Just so people say, the 1,000 miles of coastline here, this is all Iran, inside the Strait, inside the Gulf itself, and then outside. And there are some reports the Iranians have been able to ship some oil out of the parts that are already outside the Strait. Beth Sander, Cedric Layton, this has been great. Thank you both so much for being here.
That's the other thing, is like, Iran could also offer a carrot and a stick. People are talking a lot about the stick, but they're not talking about the carrot. And the carrot, and this is actually a really important point, could be something like allowing a country to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, or allowing oil to be sold to countries that throw out Israel. And from what I understand, I believe Spain has just announced they are expelling the Israeli ambassador. I think I saw that before I started. Oh, okay. It's the other way around. Spain recalls envoy to Tel Aviv. Okay, they pulled their ambassador out of Tel Aviv. Spain recalls ambassador to Tel Aviv after Israel calls Sanchez government overtly anti-Semitic. So this was last year. I thought they did it. I thought there was a new story. Okay, here it is. Spain permanent withdraws ambassador as rift with Israel deep. Okay, so we did find it. It's hard. Isn't it amazing how these stories are buried? Why the fuck did this not come up when I searched? It was like, what the fuck? Spain permanently withdraws ambassador as rift with Israel deepens. Spain permanently withdrew its ambassador to Israel on Tuesday as diplomatic standoff worsened between the two countries over Spain's opposition to the U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran. The ambassador was summoned back to Spain last September amid a diplomatic row over Spanish measures banning aircrafts and ships carrying weapons to Israel from its ports or airspace due to Israel's military offensive in Gaza, which Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar denounced as anti-Semitic. On Tuesday, Spain published an announcement in its official gazette that the ambassador's position has been terminated. Spain's foreign ministry said its embassy in Tel Aviv will be led by a charge d'affaires for the foreseeable future. The move marks the latest escalation in diplomatic relations between the two countries, which have been heavily strained since Israel launched its assault on the Gaza Strip. So presumably, Iran would allow ships to trade with Spain.
3 commercial ships have been hit by unidentified projectiles near the Strait of Hormuz. That's according to the UK Maritime Trade Operations Centre, which monitors activity in the waterway. The Strait is a major international shipping route for oil and gas. Iran's Revolutionary Guard closed it shortly after the war began. Israel and the US are also bombing targets in the Strait. Iranian officials have blamed the security situation on the US. About 20% of global oil supplies are transported through the waterway. Well, meanwhile, the U.S. Central Command's released images of what President Trump says are 16 Iranian vessels that the U.S. military destroyed near the Strait of Hormuz. He says they were planning to lay mines. Trump has warned of grave consequences if Iran continues to block the strait. And now, last week, President Trump said the U.S. Navy would soon begin escorting tankers. However, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, has revealed there are no plans to do so yet.
If tasked to escort, we'll look at the range of options to set the military conditions to be able to do that. And then, like we always do with every potential mission, come to the Secretary and the President with both what are the resources required, what is the command and control required, and what are the risks, and how do we mitigate those risks. So we're looking at a range of options there, and we'll figure out how to solve problems as they come to us.
And we're going to have correspondents following developments in Tehran and Doha and Washington, D.C. First, we're going to...
I don't play ads because I talk about Israel. So if I want to talk negatively about Israel or talk about Gaza or the Iran war, I can't run ads, so I don't. I'd rather be able to talking about exactly what I want when I want.
Go to Zain Basrawi, who's here in Doha for us. So let's talk about these incidents with the commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Zain, what more can you tell us about the maritime security situation right now?
Well, we know since this morning there have been at least 3 separate attacks in close succession around the same place, just off the coast of the UAE and Oman, Ras Al Khaimah, in the UAE, just off the coast of those areas in the Strait of Hormuz. All 3 vessels, 1 container ship, 1 cargo ship, and a bulk carrier. And what that is those large vessels that carry unpacked dry goods like grain or coal. All of them came under some kind of attack from what they describe as an unknown projectile, an unknown explosive projectile. On the cargo vessel, it caused a fire. Now, the crews are all safe. Boats were evacuated. Investigations are underway. But what we know is that it's all happened around the same time and around the same place. Exactly what took place is unclear, but it comes after warnings by the United States that Iran might use mines, naval mines, to make the Strait of Hormuz difficult or impossible to navigate. In the same breath, they said there's no evidence of it, but attacks were launched on vessels in or around the area, Iranian vessels, they say, that could be used for such a purpose. Now, Iran in the past has said that if it is attacked, it will use the Strait of Hormuz, an economic corridor that is incredibly important to the global economy on a daily basis, really, that it will use that as a pressure point. It will choke it, and as long as it can't use it, as long as it is under attack, it will make sure that the region suffers, that this strait is blocked. It will use it as a pressure point. So that is something we are seeing. The longer this carries on, the risk to maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz simply continues.
Zain Basrawi in Doha, thank you very much indeed. We're going to go to Rosalind Jordan, who's in Washington, D.C. for us. So the U.S. president is saying the U.S. has hit Iranian mine-laying ships, but he's also saying there are apparently no reports of mines actually in the Strait of Hormuz. What's going on?
Well, that would seem to comport with what CENTCOM has posted on social media, some video which it says shows U.S. military forces destroying those 16 Iranian mine-laying vessels, but it does not go into any details about whether those mine-laying vessels had actually deposited any mines anywhere on the seabed in and around the Strait of Hormuz. That would be a...
Sorry, chat. They're killing like little speedboats and piloting ships and revenue cutters. Like these are like they're killing like stuff that doesn't even really have much of a military use at all. If you don't know a lot about you know, sailing and things, that's fine. But this is the highlights they're posting of the war in Iran.
Real threat to both military and commercial ship traffic through the strait, and that is an allegation which the U.S. has made many times before against why it needs to check Iran, as it were, saying that because of Iran's ability to control traffic in and out of the strait, excuse me, it also has the ability to threaten that maritime traffic. And so this seems to be just another layer to the ongoing conflict between the U.S. and Iran.
Rosalind Jordan in Washington, D.C. Ros, thanks very much. We're going to go to Tawhid Asadi. He's joining us now from Tehran. OK, we've been talking about the situation in the Strait of Hormuz. What are Iranian officials saying about the attacks there?
We actually hear different messages from different Iranian officials, and the gist of the matter is that these messages are on the basis of deterrence and defiance. We've got the IRGC Navy commander in a very recent written statement on that. He came out to say that we announced from the very beginning of these confrontations, and of course we announced again that any vessel associated with the aggressors of Iran has no right to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. And he continued to say that if you have doubts, come closer and try. Of course, this is not the only message. We've got Ali Larijani, the Supreme National Security Council Secretary.
Oh, chat, I just got a message. Do you think it would be worthwhile to have some Cuban embassy on the stream? What do you guys think? I just got a message from the Cuban embassy, and they were interested in maybe coming on stream. What do you think? Cool. I would love to ask them about how China is importing solar panels into Cuba. See, if you believe it's self-determination, you might be talking about how the United States is focused on sanctioning and blockading Cuba right now instead of some war, you know, some war that you want to have happen. Just a thought. Did I see Bad Empanadas in Cuba now? Fucking based. You know, I don't like Bad Empanada, but that is fucking based. Although I think some of our chatters are gonna go in the convoy. Maybe we could do some fundraising for them. We might do that. I don't, you know, obviously, chat, I don't want to make everything about raising money right now. Like, I get it. Or maybe I'll just throw them some money myself. Marcus is going? Oh shit, that's pretty cool. Bad Empanada is telling people not to support the convoy. God, he's so cringe, man. Why does he like this? Join the Hassan convoy so you could street fight Bad Empanada Havana. Fuck, that would be so funny, dude. He's literally smearing and trying to discredit the flotilla. Why is he like this? Why is he like this? Why the fuck is Bad Empanada like this? Why? See, chat, Bad Empanada is like my id. Like, he's how I feel when I'm the most schizoed out and the most mad, right? And I start throwing shit at people. But I have an ego and a super ego that reins me in. And I go, you know what? I can disagree with Hassan on one person and still engage with him in a constructive way. He said sending money to a random Cuban on Facebook would be more helpful than donating to the flotilla. He's really bad at this, dude. He's so bad at this. He's so bad at this. It's about drawing attention by getting a bunch of people together to do something that gets covered by the media so more people are aware of it, and we are building support for Cuba. It's just an incorrect opinion. It's just an incorrect opinion. I'm sorry. Bad Empanada is right that the flotilla should be funded by richer people like Assad, and all the donations should go to Cubans. Okay, this is one of those things. Can I just talk to you guys about the difference between doing something and feeling like you're doing something? Doing something is when you objectively channel resources towards something in reality. You take resources that you have power and control over, and you directly use them on something good. All right? That's doing something. Being a person who stands back and says, I don't think you should have bought that with your money, you should have bought this, feels like you're doing something, but in fact you're not. It is critique instead of action. You are not a better person because you critiqued an action. You're a better person when you take a greater action that is more impactful. Do you see what I mean? I'm not saying critique should never happen. I'm just saying critique alone does not advance the ball. And I feel like a lot of people get a lot of dopamine from critique alone. And that is ultimately liberalism, because you feel a certain type of way. You get a dopamine release, but the material reality has not changed. So I'm sorry, but, and the arrogance of thinking that he knows how the world is going to receive the flotilla is insane. There are so many knock-on effects. So many more people are getting interested in helping Cuba because prominent people are making it a big deal and making a big show of it. The spectacle increases the number of people interested in the thing. And if you discount that, you're just dumb. Now, I'm not saying, by the way, the fact that Bad Empanada went to Cuba, flew to Cuba, donated money, helped people out, I applaud him for that. I don't think that that's bad. I think that's great. And I like when he does stuff like that. And I'm never going to criticize him for that, even though I don't like him personally. I'm glad he did that.
In another message published on...
Struggle 4 is getting shit from a streamer? Who? Who's lying about Struggle 4? Struggle 4 is cool. I mean, we're not even friends. Like, I would be happy to be friends with Marcus, but we're not. Like, I don't want to act like we are. Like, I don't know him and we don't talk. But I like his work and I think he's cool. He's dope. But I haven't interacted with him, you know? And by the way, that's fine with me. I don't need to like make someone my I don't need to make someone my friend to still think they're a good guy. By the way, chat, the void. Can you see the void? He's making noises. He's crying. Mike, you got to see this. What is the best way to contact you directly for advice on influencing local politics? I mean, honestly, it depends on the nature of the question. All right, let's keep going.
his X account in 5 different languages, he came out with the same strong tone to say that Strait of Hormuz will be either a strait of peace and prosperity for all, or will be a strait of defeat and suffering for warmongers. And of course, we've got Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, the Speaker of the Parliament of the country, again in a similar message of warning to say that an oil tanker crossed the Strait of Hormuz escorted by a U.S. ship, maybe on PlayStation. This is the message. These are the messages that basically we are hearing from the Iranian side, and we have to keep in mind that even before the initiation of these confrontations, the Iranian side warned against the possibility of using the Strait of Hormuz as a leverage, seeing the strategically significant role of this choke point. Now they're trying to employ this leverage in this already complicated situation, and this is obviously part and parcel of the rhetoric that we have already heard from the country. They said that in case of a U.S. attack on Iran, ahead of these attacks, of course, there is a possibility for a regional confrontation, and the confrontation could be actually extended to include the Strait of Hormuz. And this is critically important, seeing the actually the role of this place when it comes to the energy market, when it comes to the commercial aspects, and of course the very sensitive situation, seeing the military build-up by the Americans in the region. This is all in all a complicated situation, as I mentioned earlier, and Iran is trying to use this strategic leverage in order to deal with the challenges that it has been facing.
Little Marco wearing clown shoes to appease Trump. Wait, Trump is... Oh, wait. Oh. I like, all right, this is going to come across as weird, so let me finish the sentence before you react. I like adopting black-coated pets because they're often overlooked in shelters, and I find it really weird because I think they're very aesthetically pleasing to look at. I don't know why people don't like black cats and black dogs. Like, apparently there's like black dogs and black cats don't get adopted, and it's fucking crazy. I had a black lab. It was like my favorite dog I ever had, and I got a black cat because I think they look cool. It's so fucking weird. How do people not like them? Like, what's wrong with them? Coated, as in their fur color. As a black dog owner, he's the most beautiful dog. I know. I think black fur looks great. So weird. Not coated, coated, as in the color of their coat. Not black coated. I don't even know what a black coated cat would be. What would that even mean? Because they don't photograph well. Yes, they do. You just have to light them properly. Maybe it's the shedding appearing more than other colors. White fur is the worst for shedding. Not black fur. White fur. That's impossible for most normies. They don't know how to use cameras. Have I heard of the superstition around black cats? Okay, maybe 35 years ago when I was in elementary school, but like what the fuck? As an adult? Breaking news. Okay, it's cute cats. Thank you. Black cats equal misfortune. Not for me. Everything I want to happen is happening in my life. Americans believe in ghosts and aliens, dog. I mean, aliens are real. They just haven't visited the earth. I think the thing that's funny is believing in angels. Angels that intervene. Which is also heretical bullshit, by the way. There's a reason why there's very few named angels in Christian theology. Extra-dimensional probulators. Have you considered getting Brent Heinrich on? He's running against Marie Gluskamp Perez and Washington 3rd. Yes, I have considered it because I'm considering it right now. Holy based! Hook me up. Hook me up. I would like to help every single person. So, chat, if you want to know how I think about politicians, there is something called the Congressional Democrat Left Tracker. And basically, this is how I think about politicians. It's not 100, but it's my rough guide, right? How much do I like the person is based on where they rank on this list. And if you scroll to the very bottom of this list, Marie Gluskamp Perez is the 212th most right-wing Democrat. Or most left-wing Democrat, meaning she is the 3rd most right-wing Democrat. Only Henry Cuellar and Donald Davis are more right-wing than her. So I want to primary her ass. Does it get updated regularly? Yes, this is still updated. This is updated regularly. For example, Christian Menifee has been put in the spreadsheet. He was sworn in February. Now, the rating has not been applied yet because he hasn't had enough votes to determine whether they are left or not. But so far, they have voted correctly on every vote that they've come up to, except one that they didn't vote. So they seem fine. I'm primarying a Zionist and Maryland's third. I'd love to be on. Oh boy. Okay. Interesting. We'll have to figure it out. I live in Henry Clay. Why didn't Jessica run again, Doctor name that I'm not going to say? Why didn't she run again? She would have won. Why didn't Jessica run again? Run again, Jessica. This would have been the third time. The fourth time's the charm. I know it's tough to lose multiple close elections, and I get why she's done for a bit. Did you see that Pete Hegseth spent $6.9 million on lobster tails and $2 million on king crabs? He also authorized a $100,000 piano for the chief of staff's son's home. What the fuck? Majority of Americans believe Trump launched Iran war to cover up Epstein scandal. President Trump was at least partially motivated to take military action against Iran in order to distract from the Epstein scandal. President Trump was not motivated at all to pursue war, to take military action against Iran in order to distract. 52% of people say, yeah, it's Epstein fury. I fucking love America. You're never going to make me hate America when things like this are being polled. Data for Progress poll paid for by Drop Sides Ateo about to drop. They said they asked unique questions. I want to contact Ryan about the polling they buy. All right, chat. Have you guys seen this? The Chinese have discovered Donald Trump's spiritual advisor, and they're starting to meme on it. I need to make a video for Billy about this shit. Oh, did I retweet it? Oh, fuck, I didn't like it. God damn it, Mike. What's wrong with you? It's such a good post. Why did I like it? Do I still have it open somewhere? Fuck!
Lindsey Graham, this has been like, he's been reborn.
It's this. Yes! Thank you, Chatter! Holy fuck, you're the best! Holy shit, you're the best! Chatter! Meanwhile, in China, the viral White House prayer scene has turned into a full-blown social media trend. Bosses at small businesses and factories are rounding up their employees to make fun of the stunt, forming a circle, placing hands on shoulders and heads, and praying in a humorous way for better sales, higher incomes for every worker and the whole company. Videos of these prayer circles are blowing up on Douyin and Weibo. Not sure how much divine favor the White House actually summoned, but these Chinese bosses... What the fuck is going on with my internet? Why am I effing? Why the fuck am I effing? I'm losing it. I'm fucking losing it. What is fucking going on? My internet is fucking perfect. What's fucking going on? What the fuck is happening? What the fuck is going on? I have 1,000 megabits upload and it's fucking perfect. There's no internet drop. I'm hardwired into my fucking Wi-Fi or into my router. What the fuck is going on? What the hell is going on? What the fuck is happening?